We had this question which was playing in my mind, and I must tell you this. So we were talking about progressive Indian women, and then I remember turning around and saying, which woman doesn't believe that she's progressive?
That's true.
So should progressive be a word?
Yeah.
Because it's redundant. It's a given.
Yes.
You know, and how do you define and which woman wants to be regressive? Every woman wants to progress.
That's true.
They may be in different stages of progression, but it is a given.
Hello from Dubai, folks. This is an international episode of Mashable Mornings where we talk to CEOs, business leaders, and today we have with us the business head of Mia by Tanishq, Shyamala Ramanan. We're going to find out about the fascinating world of jewelry art, but also understand from her how she went pivoting from 30 to 120 stores and how she speaks to the Gen Z as well as millennial audiences about not just gold jewelry but also diamonds and how they like to buy some for themselves. Let's go and find out her story. Hello Shyamala, welcome to Mashable Mornings. How are you?
Thank you. Very well, very well.
We have the business head of Mia by Tanishq with us in Dubai as we roll on our second episode here. So it's really cool to have you with us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me on the show.
I have realized that I need to stop calling women leaders and just calling them leaders. Yeah. So how has the journey been for you?
Oh, it's actually been a fantastic ride so far.
Really?
So one of the things that I started with when I was a young girl was I always aspired to be on the cover of Times, known as a business lady or a business person of the year.
Oh, that was the dream. That was your manifestation.
Yes, that was my manifestation. I didn't have a route, but I figured that if I keep doing what I did well and did more of things and learned things along the way, there would come a time where probably I would do it. Having said that, life takes over and you keep doing the work you do.
Yeah.
And there I find myself in a place where I am called a leader, and I think that itself is very fulfilling.
Yeah, and the cover is not very far. Y'all are deploying AI in jewelry and understanding markets.
Yes, we are. So in fact, Mia by Tanishq has done something very interesting. So as soon as the AI thing came, we talk to the Gen Zers. So the moment you talk to Gen Z, you need to be right up there. So we have used, when Mission Impossible was being released, that is when we had our first AI creative, which we put up on our social media post. And I think everybody went in a tizzy. They were like, oh my God, this is so outstanding, because actually using the highest of having a treasure box there with a jewelry come up and the whole thing just, doing a MI was quite fantastic. Since we have used some imagery using Midjourney, and, we are on that process of understanding how to use it. And what we're also trying to do is see how you can even create jewelry designs. Having said that, we're just in an exploratory stage at the moment, because what works for us really at the moment is having this whole bunch of young designers who are part of the consuming audience themselves. And so we have some fantastic products that they actually design. But it's a medium which is of a future, and we're already dipping our toes into it. And I think we're seeing how we can actually use it for our benefit.
No, kudos to that.
Thank you.
We fist bump to that stuff. Do you have a specific morning routine?
Let's put it this way. I am not a morning person.
No?
Oopsies. Because I'm a night owl.
Oh, really?
And I suffer from insomnia, so I generally stay up pretty much late into the night. But having said that, I have a golden retriever who ensures that he's my wake-up alarm at 6:30 in the morning.
What's his name?
His name is Sunny.
Hi, Sunny.
And so Sunny ensures that he wakes me up at 6:30, sharp to the clock every day, come hail, high storm, rains, and I need to take him out for his morning walk.
Of course.
So that's what I do. Come back, and then it's time for my kiddo, because I have to wake her up, and she needs to head for school. After that, it's a cup of coffee with Wordle.
Okay.
Where I love solving that, and that's the start of my day. If I get the word within the first 3 rows, I think it's fantastic. But mostly I crack it in the 4th. Worst come on the 5th.
That's very specific. Yeah.
I track how I've been performing, so that's how I know. So it's fun because I think it sets a course for the day. And after that, it's all the way 30 kilometers to my office. And that's what I do. on the days I'm not traveling, and I travel pretty much larger part of the week. So I like traveling quite a bit. So probably about 10 to 12 days in a month, I travel to various markets because we have our stores across most parts of India.
Yes, of course.
And the good thing about visiting stores is it gives you an insight, what you can't do sitting in the corporate office. It's actually good to be out there with your store team, trying to understand consumers, gaining insights into them, because finally we're in the business for them.
Yes, 100%. No, you've gone from 30 to 120 very fast.
148.
148? Oh, yes. Wow. Congratulations to all of y'all actually out there, because these many stores, it must be a mammoth of an operation. No?
It is. So we are a very small team of about 20 people. And,
that's it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, in my team.
Yes, of course.
Team. And of course, we have extended support from the rest of the organization when it comes to business development, etc.
Yeah.
But the core team is this, and it's us who actually sit and put together how we're going to go about, which are the places, which are the markets. So we do get extended support from the Tanishq team as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's how we go about figuring out which are the places we need to have our stores. Then identifying a property, and then the paperwork which goes behind it, because when you're part of the Tata Group, you need to be very sure of where you're opening your store and what kind of store. So we get all our documentations in place, and then we try and roll out a property within 45 days from the day we sign the agreement. Yes. So then we have our designers who sit and work on the store layout, approvals, then getting into manufacturing. So it's generally it is a mammoth task. And to have rolled out so quick in 2 years to 148 stores, even as we speak. In fact, my 148th opened just yesterday in Bangalore.
Congratulations.
So yes, thank you. And it's been fun so far, and we're hoping to close the year at 200, and that's just India.
Oh, wow. How is Dubai as a market, and why Dubai as a market?
So, Mia is actually entering into teenagehood. She's going to turn 13 the coming year as a brand. But as a brand, we've been generally underplaying ourselves. So the origins of this brand came in a little over a decade ago, where the whole belief was that, women in India were evolving. They were getting more into workplaces, and the kind of outfits, attires, everything was changing from traditional to either fusion or Western. And so we needed jewelry which would actually express her needs. And jewelry buying in India has largely been a family-oriented purchase.
That's true, right?
So she just gets to select on a set of design, and then the occasion is also earmarked. So here we wanted her to have a jewelry which she can sport every day and change it as often as she needs.
Yeah.
And as my MD says, swipe for it with her own credit card.
Yes.
So that's how Mia came about. So we've done quite a bit of changes over the years, and I think we are now poised to take on all the young women. And you know what? As a brand, we're not just saying women. We are also into gender fluidity, because you're talking about the Gen Z who wants to express him or herself in every which ways they feel like.
Yeah.
So we're actually talking to this consumer, and we believe Dubai is a great melting pot in this part of the world. You have so many youngsters who are here.
That's
so
interesting.
Obviously, when you have young people who are experimenting, who are trying to understand their culture, understanding cultures around them, they're open to a lot of ideas. Like
they're very aware also, no, as an audience.
Absolutely. Now, can you imagine the evil eye as a motive? Is a ubiquitous, universal motive right now.
That's true.
So it's like you take things which you want to take and you adopt it the way you want to adopt it. So I think Dubai is a great example of how people come in. There is a cultural amalgamation.
Yeah.
And so when we thought of setting up our first store outside the country, Dubai seemed to be the apt choice. And it helps that we have a good presence of Tanishq.
Yes.
We're already there, I think, 7 stores and counting. And I think what is working is the last 3 years, I think in 2020 is when we opened our first store in Meena Bazaar.
Oh, lovely.
And from there, I think we've opened about 4 stores in Dubai. There are 2 in Doha. There are 3 in, I think there are 2 more in Abu Dhabi. So, when I see the number of Tanishq stores and how we're talking to the South Asian community per se, and how they're actually adopting us. So what started off as an India population-centric brand is now already moved to an extent where we get consumers from all of South Asia.
Yeah.
So the moment it happens, you know that you're doing something right. And you know there are a lot of youngsters here who also aspire. So there is a familiarity, and at the same time there is a uniqueness. And what we do is we have a plethora of styling, which they can adopt for whatever suits their fancy.
Lovely.
So that's how Dubai.
Yes, amazing. Let's go back to understanding you as a person a little.
Alrighty.
So, La Martiniere, what are those days like?
Actually, I must tell you a little before that. So, my father used to have a transferable job.
Okay.
So, I think I've changed 10 schools in my schooling career.
Oh, no.
So, no, it's been fun because I think that's what set me up because, you're not emotionally attached to anything, but at the same time, you learn how to pick things up because every time we shifted, I would be in a different medium or a different board. And so the curriculum would change. So, I had to adapt very quickly to that, if I had to just...
But friends, you'd miss your friends.
I would, but those were the days where you would write letters.
Yes.
And we stayed in touch. And then
did you?
Yes, we did. So I still have my best friends from school. Or somebody's in Basel, someone is in New York, but we're still in touch.
Oh, wow.
And you know what helped? Orkut and Facebook.
They do.
So I think it kind of helped us reconnect. And so yes, we're still in touch even as we speak. So I know what their children do. They know what my kids do. So I think it's been fantastic. So I don't have any regrets of doing that. At that point of time, of course, it would feel a little frustrating. But in retrospect, I think that's perhaps the best thing that could have happened to me. So finally, we came down to Calcutta because Calcutta is my birth city.
Oh,
so
lovely.
It's also my parents' birth city. So we came back to what we call home.
Yes.
So, and then I joined, of course, I finished my class 10 in a school called Queen of the Missions. From there, my 11-12 was with La Martiniere. La Martiniere was one of the most fantastic schools I think I could have been into. It's been amazing.
All girls, right?
Yes. It's an all-girls school, but the good thing about 11 and 12 sessions, the class, was it was in the boys' school.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So we have a La Martiniere girls and La Martiniere boys, which were on either side of the street.
Yes, of course.
And so, we had to kind of go across to the boys' school. And it was really fun. When you're growing up, it's always fun, all of these things.
All of those things are running through your hormones and like playing your mind up a little.
Yes, but then, it takes you in a certain way. In fact, I think in those days, we were perhaps the only school which had trouser and shirt as our uniform.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No skirts and no...
No, skirts was only for sports. So, we used to have only for 11 and 12. So, it was quite interesting and great fun days. And,
In hindsight, do you think about the kind of things that lend to your understanding of how you'd feel in like a pant shirt and, gives you confidence when you wear one of those?
So let's put it this way. I was always a tomboy. As I told you, we kept moving, right? So I was more of a tomboy, and I come from an era where there were girls and there were boys, but I was very fortunate that my parents never did that distinction. In fact, in my father's side of the family, we are all girls till my brother was born. I mean, amongst all our relatives. So every time a girl would be born, my grandfather would actually say, Rani of Jhansi is born. So, so we were brought up with the idea that we are as good as men, and there was never any distinction. So, for example, perhaps my brother learned to make the roti before I did.
Lovely.
So, we were brought up in a manner where I was taught to turn or change the light bulbs or, fix up things. So I never had this bias or knew that, women were to be treated differently. In fact, even when I was in college, there was no conversations of a marriage or anything. In fact, they would have been happier if I had not fallen in love and decided to get married to the love of my life. They would have been okay with it, So I'm very fortunate and blessed to have a set of parents who were very
progressive. It's also feministic in an environment which is very corely feministic.
Yes. And in fact, I got married to a household also which was like that. My mother-in-law was perhaps one of the earliest women who in Banaras used to ride a jeep. So, exactly. So she was in Banaras in the university. I've always had role models in women and men who are very progressive about women.
Yeah.
So I think, wearing either a trouser or now wearing a skirt, it's all okay because it's what defines me is my nature, the value system that I have, and has nothing to do with what I choose to attire myself in. Really.
Amazing. I think that kind of emulates into or lends into your brand values and language as well, right?
It does. So fortunately, I've also been part of an organization. If you see Titan Company Limited, perhaps being a lifestyle brand, also has a lot of products which cater to women. So one of my earliest roles after working with a licensed brand portfolio of Tommy Hilfiger and Hugo Boss was with Raga.
Interesting.
So Raga is perhaps the only watch brand which talks exclusively to women.
Yeah, from the get-go, that's been their proposition.
Yes. And it's always spoken about the progressive women, And so I think I also had the opportunity to work in an organization which took its women very seriously. So as a result, it helped you build the brand the way you thought it should be for this progressive woman. And so from Raga, when I even launched Purple, which was a fashion line of watches for the women, it was exactly that proposition which we took forward, about independent women. In fact, if you see the Tanishq ads, it was always progressive. In fact, a time came in where we had this question which was playing in my mind, and I must tell you this. So we were talking about progressive Indian women, and then I remember turning around and saying, which woman doesn't believe that she's progressive?
That's true.
So should progressive be a word?
Yeah.
Because it's redundant. It's a given.
Yes.
And how do you define and which woman wants to be regressive? Every woman wants to progress.
That's true.
They may be in different stages of progression, but it is a given. So, the whole thing that, you need to talk to women who are always asserting themselves or understanding their own independence, pushing their boundaries. Yes, so that's something which comes in perhaps from my own value system, but I think it works very well with the organization that I'm in, which always treats women the same way that I am. So, it kind of
that's
works.
amazing. I love that. It is. I would like to understand the vibe of the office.
Oh, it's a very chill office. In fact, Titan, now we have our own campus. It's a beautiful campus.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's got greens all over. It's got water bodies. It's got fish. It's got duck. So it's got a lot of things going for it. And of course, it's got a whole bunch of cool people. And we're a good mix of young and experienced. And I think that's what really works for us, because we're always there to learn from the youngsters and what's happening around in their world.
Lovely.
We lend our experience, and there are these parties and after parties where we sit and say, wo bhi kya din the Titan ke types. And you have these young ones with their eyes wide open hearing all these stories.
So let's talk about the journey a little more, because you went on to doing college with applied chemistry as the major. What happened there?
Okay, so I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
So yes, that didn't happen when I gave my joint entrance. So like every normal kid, I joined a BSc with chemistry, and I thought I will spend a year trying to study again for medical and give my medical exam again.
But did you like organic chemistry?
I did actually. I started liking it after a point of time.
You're one of those people who likes organic chemistry.
Yeah, so I'm a geek of sorts, right?
Yeah, same.
A nerd, whatever you call me. So the fun part of organic chemistry was actually the experiments. I would love working with experiments, both inorganic and organic. But that's not the point. The point was I was trying to do my joint.
Yes.
I didn't manage it again. So I did my BSc. So when I did my BSc, we have a BSc honors, which is like 3-year course. And because I was busy preparing for joint, I neglected chemistry for the first year.
Oops.
So my marks weren't that great, which I did make up, of course, in the final year. But then I didn't know what to do with myself, because I only knew that I wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And then because of my score, which was, touchwood, very good, I got an opportunity to do a double degree, which is BSc BTech, so which is given by the University of Calcutta.
Oh, wow.
So since I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with myself, I went ahead and joined BTech, where I did chemical technology, and I specialized in, you won't believe, I specialized in edible oil, paint, and essential oils. So
that's the alchemy that goes from that to jewelry and gems and whatnot.
Yes. In fact, when I was younger, I would actually think it would be so much of fun if I could create something which would create gold. So it's, little did I ever think that I would finally come to a category which does work with gold. So I mean, it's strange actually what you think of at some point of time are those tathastu moment which we call be it. And so that's how I guess it's finally come here. So that's how BTech, MBA, and then my first company was Bata.
Yeah, we're going to come to that. We're going to come to that.
Okay.
But this is also the time when there is Shalimar Paints and there's Asian Paints.
Yes.
So you never considered a job with those?
I did. In fact, after my BTech, I did think of doing that. And I also thought I will go overseas and do my MTech, like most of my friends did.
Of course.
But then MBA kind of came in my way, and somebody said, the future is all about marketing. I mean, MTech karke kya karogi? Professor banna hai. So, and I didn't think I have the caliber to teach. Personally, I didn't think I could. No. I never thought that I was the kind who could actually sit and take classes, though I did do quite a bit of tuition to earn my pocket money when I was in college.
Yeah, no, you got the look going for you also. You could totally run for a professor role right now.
Maybe I will sometime. Who knows what the future holds.
All those guest lecture seekers.
So then I decided to try my hand in marketing.
Okay.
In fact, those days I would be a vociferous reader of Brand Equity, which is part of Economic Times.
Yes.
Where all those marketing articles would come out, and I would be perpetually fascinated by them. So then I figured, why not actually dabble and see what happens, and that's how MBA happened, as opposed to, either joining a.
I love that a publisher can, lead, but very informed also, and very Calcutta emotion also.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll wake up to music and start reading your paper, and then that's why you're choosing your job.
Telegraph, the Statesman.
Yes. So then 20 years after that is your whole journey here. So congratulations. Firstly,
thank you so much.
Our generation doesn't understand this concept. After 5 years, the people are mostly sticking for gratuity.
Oh yes. I moved out of Bata, and then I was on a break actually.
Okay.
So probably for about 2-3 months, and I told you, right, I come from a family, and I was wedded into a family where they were progressive. So my father-in-law was, you can't be sitting idle. You need to do something.
Lovely.
So then this opportunity came by where there was this watch company which is the largest in India, etc., etc. And for a lark, I actually wrote back to them saying, I've worked in a shoe company which is the largest in India, etc. And I get a call saying that, Mr. Rajoy Chawla was then the head of Fast Track and New Businesses would like to meet you. And I went there and I had a long conversation with him. And after that, there were a few other rounds of interview with the HR, everybody else. And then finally, a month later, I got a call. I thought, since I didn't hear from them
that's a while.
For a month, So I got a call which said that, you need to join in. And the joining date was 13th of October, which was a Friday.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So my family was like, 13th, the Friday, you want to join a new organization? And I was like, let's go for it. Let's see. So I packed my bags. I was in Calcutta then, and came down on 12th. 13th, I came to the office. So we used to be on the old airport road in those days. I was one of the few women in the organizations, really. And then I walk in here and I see a whole bunch of young people. Well, 20 years ago, I was also much younger. So obviously, you feel the vibes, you feel the energy.
And a lot of women, is it?
Yeah, much more women than I had seen earlier there in those days. And all friendly people, welcoming me, and it was fun. So I do remember my first day very well. And then, seeing a watch and trying to understand what goes behind it. And it was a fantastic learning. And I came in at the point of time with licensed brands, with Tommy Hilfiger, for example, which was all about fashion. And 20 years ago in India, there weren't too many fashion brands.
That's true.
I think there was Titan. And in the fashion space, I think Esprit, Fossil, there were some of them which were just about making inroads.
Fossil was also just coming out. My first was, and thank you, Mr. Chawla, was the Fast Track.
Ah, okay, yes.
And I think I call myself a decent-ish watch fanatic, but superb. And thanks to you all, I have moved in the chain, in the ladder itself for a long time.
Fast Track was a fantastic evolution. I think Fast Track, what it did for the youth then.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a cult brand of sorts. I have deep love for that brand.
Even the ads were kick-ass.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I still think they were well ahead of their time.
Very, very.
So I think they set the pace for what a youth brand should be like. So I've had the pleasure of working with the team very closely. Though I was never directly in Fast Track, I was part of the new brands, which are there, the licensed brands as we call them.
Yeah.
And but I've seen them really close, them launching the sunglasses and everything else.
The whole spiel.
Yes, the whole
lovely. How does a mind go from watches to fashion launches?
It's actually, when I say fashion, it is fashion watches. But so we had Raga, right? So I had worked quite a bit in Tommy, right? So I did know what fashion brands kind of did or how they operated.
Yeah.
So that was a strength which I believe was leveraged when we were looking at how to set up. So for example, Raga used to do 2 launches in a year.
Okay.
Spring, summer. And then just before the festive period. Festive period is when we had our long tail with these luxurious, beautiful designs which would actually come in. But what we did in Purple is the frequency was like any other fashion brand. Once in 3 months. You have a fall collection, a quarter. So the drops were more frequent.
Interesting.
The storylines were very different. So that's how we started that line. And we wanted to bring in similar kind of concept.
Yeah.
And then we actually extended purple to not just be women's watches, but we also launched a men's range in that. So, which was like very fashionable watches with white leather straps and leather on the case, things which typically weren't really conventionally seen.
Wow.
So they sort of broke the clutter. And from there, I think one of my fun projects that I did was Zoop, which was actually launching watches for the kids.
Yeah.
So that to me was one of the most fun projects that I had done, because I think going and selecting products for kids was amazing. Then we did a tie-up with Disney with the Toy Story movie, which was just being launched. And just working on all of it was just so much fun.
How does one decide on taking a break and then coming back from it?
Recharge.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just guess I don't think I followed any particular process. I think since I believe I am in what in Titan you would call an intrapreneur, where you help establish or start the brands.
Yes.
And so when it moves to the next person, when you pass the baton,
Yeah.
there is some amount of, you have invested so much of energy, time, you almost, it's like a part of you, right? It's a part of your own being, because you spend so much of time creating it.
That's true.
So somewhere I think, and invariably it used to finally take its toll on, once I had a severe back pain. So I had to take off.
Okay.
So another time I was like, okay, I need to take that time off. Now that the brand has moved, I need some time off. And also, what is the next role that I should look for? It
internally
needs,
only.
Yes. So then that gave me the time and the ability to take that break, which I did.
So then comes the Mia project.
Okay.
So how do you remember the brief for it?
Oh, Mia is actually fun. I'll tell you why. Because I was actually supposed to move to Singapore. My husband moved.
What?
My husband
What year
moved
was
in
this?
2020.
Okay.
Or 19, was it? Now I forget. No, 19. Yeah, September 19, he moved to Singapore and I was supposed to join him. Okay. So I finished my stint with Tanishq and I was looking at moving. I was waiting for my girls' class final exams to be done by March.
Okay.
And March 23rd, COVID happened and lockdown struck.
Yeah.
So phase 1. So there was lockdown all over the world, right? And there went all my plans of moving to Singapore. And we didn't know when things will open up, what will happen. And I didn't know what's going to happen, right? Nobody knew.
Yes.
So at that point of time, my CPO or CHRO, Mr. Rajnarayan, he called me up and said, your tenure is coming to an end. I was still in my notice period. Would you want to reconsider given the present state and look at continuing here? So it just seemed to make a lot of sense. I said, yeah, so what do we have in the offer? So he said, would you like to work on Mia?
Yeah.
Now, I had known of Mia and I knew that it was a young brand and it was a working women's brand and it was there. But that's all I knew about it because, I was in watches and I told Tanishq. So, and I was never really a jewelry person. Oopsies. So I shouldn't be saying that out loud, but nonetheless. Yeah. So I said, all right. And I spoke to a few people, as you were saying, people in the leadership team whom you trust blindly. Yes. So I called up 2 or 3 of them and I asked them and they said, you know what, it's an opportunity. And if you take it up, at least 15 months, you need to be at it. You cannot move then, even if the lockdown opens up. You then can't say bye. That's not fair.
Yeah.
So I said, noted. Spoke to my husband. He said, yeah, of course, if you take it up, you should do a good job.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, I must tell you about my husband a bit here because he's actually been fantastic friend for life. He's never ever thrown the weight. I think the fact that he respects me for what I do is what really helps. And he's never really, ever asked me to do anything which I wouldn't want to, like move there. So he's been there alone now for 3 years and counting. So
oh damn.
Yeah, so he works out of Singapore still. So then I took up this role and when I came in, I was actually told कि देखो क्या कर सकती हो 10 साल से है ये brand.
हाँ जी.
आप देख लो. I mean, what can we do? Because it seems to be caught. Because we had a brand called CaratLane, which we had acquired.
Yes.
We had Tanishq, which has a sub 2 lakh category, and there was this brand. So, because it was COVID, I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people. From the people who had started the brand, who were not with Titan at the moment.
Okay.
But people known to me, so speak to them, call them up, ask them what started, how did they do, get the DNA of the brand.
That's so vague. I mean, how would somebody approach it like this? Call the people who started it and ask them, why did you start it in the first place?
हाँ मतलब थोड़ा तो, and see that is what I'm saying ना अभी, because I'm used to having it started, I know the backstories behind what went into it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know the backstory.
Fair enough.
So that is how it started. So and I believed in one thing that see जिन्होंने जितना भी काम किया ना on the brand for over a period of time, कुछ सोच के किया होगा ना.
Yes.
So one must know that and appreciate what they've done and not come with the. So I am definitely not of the opinion कि अरे आना है, if I have to make my mark, I have to वो सारे घर के बल्ब बदल डालूंगा types. It's not like you need to change everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So you need to build on what is there.
The core you've understood and now you build on
exactly. Top. Then we spoke to some customers, and I always believe that we need to talk to customers. So I am a very customer centric person. So for me, the first thing is getting the insight from them, because while we were a certain number, there were still some customers who were buying us 4 times a year, 5 times a year.
Oh wow!
So what was making them buy? So understanding that and बात करते क्या उनको पसंद है.
जाओ और पता लगाओ.
हाँ, and speak to them, because it was COVID. Zoom calls.
Yeah.
So and everybody at the time. So nobody said no. Apne organization mein, what I realized is the love for Mia is crazy. Everybody who was in Tanishq loves Mia. The RSOs in Tanishq love Mia.
Okay.
So they had a soft spot for it. It was like their bacha. So all I had to do was वो बच्चा वो कहीं पे वो दब के रह गया था, मुझे उसे बस उभारना था. And so I asked them, what do you think could be done? What do you think could be done? So I amassed, when I say I, it started with me, and then we got the team to do it. So all of us would do this, and then we would convene with all the information we had and pick up the key areas and slot them. अच्छा प्रोडक्ट में ये चाहिए, मार्केटिंग में ऐसा चाहिए, रिटेल में ऐसा चाहिए. So once you slot them in buckets, you understand what you need to do, and then we could prioritize. So we started prioritizing and we started putting it together, saying कि अच्छा this is what we need to do in terms of the product. We need to expand the portfolio because we were only within a certain price band and a very sharp certain look.
Okay.
So as one of my senior mentors actually said, when you go to a restaurant, you need options for the vegan, the vegetarian and the non-vegetarian.
That's true.
Now, if you open a vegan store and say, मैं सिर्फ vegan रखूंगा, then don't expect more people to walk in. They'll be like, इधर पे मुझे कुछ मिलेगा ही नहीं.
That's true. It's a niche
Maybe
category.
they'll like a vegan, but they will not know.
Yeah.
So then, वो ठनका. Then one of our franchisees actually called and said, अच्छा मियाँ का दुकान है. We had 30 stores, right? Then.
Yes.
So, अच्छा मुझे ये बताओ, modern बोलते हो, आप कभी थाईलैंड गए हो? I said, हाँ. He said, have you seen the Indian married brides there who wear those bikinis with इतना चूड़ा पहनते हैं? I said, yes. He said, you don't think they are modern? I said, yes. कहाँ है वो category? Where is the Mangalsutra? I'm like, okay. So, a lot of people, and then an RSO tells me, says, madam, सिर्फ geometric रखे क्या होगा? Full पत्ती का है. I mean, where is the organic forms?
That's true.
So a lot of these inputs, and for somebody who's very new to this category, I think I was taking
like
furious
curious
notes.
child.
I was like busy taking notes, and I was like, acha. So then अपना collection देख के, then design team के साथ बात करके, then we blew up the product portfolio. Then we
realized... So that means designs also,
yes,
that means retail also, that means marketing also.
Absolutely. It's something which you can buy multiple pieces of for the budget you have.
Yeah.
So that's how we went about it. And when we were then thinking about how women have also changed, from the kind that was like directive, it is very collaborative.
That's true.
Women nowadays are also very collaborative because they almost realize that there is this growing rise of the sisterhood.
Yeah,
where
the
you
foster female friendships.
Yes, which you want to appreciate other women. So we said, if we were to bring this thought alive, so the collection was called Starburst. We said there is a star, so how do you recognize a star in you? So we wanted a Bollywood face.
Yeah.
So Rakul seemed to fit the bill because when we were doing a whole bunch of research on celebrities, she seemed apt because she is a person who is very genuine and authentic, and there is more than just a pretty face. She's a very wonderful person. She's got a heart of gold.
She's vocal about what she feels.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it just seemed to make sense. So even when we were giving the creative brief, the idea was to use Rakul as Rakul.
Yeah.
And not do a role of another character. So which is when we said, okay, she is a star, but she has the humbleness, the humility to recognize another woman, see that she's feeling a little unsure, and how she can break the ice. And of course, wearing a Mia helps because Mia becomes the icebreaker.
Yes, of course.
And
the catalyst.
how she actually helps the other woman regain her confidence.
It's lovely.
And so that's how the thought of that creative and the ad came about. And I'm so happy to say that, it's got us some crazy views already.
Yeah.
And it's doing well. And it looks like we're going to have a good festive season ahead.
No, amazing. That's awesome, because I think that is a commonality, right? We will be Dhanteras celebrating Desis in India or Dubai.
Absolutely.
We love our Mangal Sutra, but we may make it like 1 diamond and 2 black beads.
Which we do.
Yeah.
Which is what? So we call it Mia Sutras. We
don't really?
Even call it Mangal Sutra. We call it Mia Sutras.
Oh, wow.
And we have it different. We have even Mangal Sutras, which are like on finger rings, bracelets. So we even contemporize the category.
Oh, interesting.
To take it on into other categories. Because, when you're working, you may not want to wear a Mangal Sutra on your neck, but you can definitely wear it on your wrist. And if you want to wear it on your neck, so be it. We have options for that as well. So we are not in here to direct the customer on what they should do, but we are here to give them options to enable them to what they want to do.
Are you all figuring jewelry for men as well on the go?
As I said, every collection we have a certain set of products which are gender fluid.
Super.
And we do have men who buy it from us.
Yeah.
So in fact, it came in with the idea of Rakhis.
Haan.
So a lot of women came and said, Rakhi kar do na, nahi to kahin aur ghumna padta hai. So we did a silver Rakhi.
Oh, wow.
But then we don't do just aisa Rakhi karke, I said no, anti-locker, anti-shelf. So we said, us Rakhi ko how can we reuse? So all our Rakhis actually double up as pendants or brooches at the end of it. So you can, so the men also have a reason to sport it.
Yeah.
Then we found that some of our categories like alphabets, birthstones, evil eye, we found men who came in and picked it up as well.
Yes.
So we said, okay, so every collection now has certain gender fluid products. So ear cuffs, for example, men sport that. So we have those products which are not designed for men, but they are fluid and can span from men to women. And anybody else in between. So, we cater to all the spectrum of genders.
Superb. Tell me this as a marketer, when you were leading a campaign or two and you thought this will blow up or this will go viral, but it didn't, and tell me something that you did not think would ever click, ended up going really viral.
Tough on this. So see, not all campaigns take off as well as you imagine them to. Yeah. So there was one such in the past, which was, okay, I own it because I was the brand head then.
Anji.
But वो करने के बाद हमने डाल भी दिया. फिर people said कि this is not really the brand, this is not how you should position it, what were you thinking? So I was like, ouch, ouch, ouch. But nonetheless, so we kind of pulled that ad off air as well.
Oh.
So yeah, but that was also learning to understand, that's what I said. Sometimes when you see it from your lens, to take yourself outside and put yourself in your consumer's shoe and see it from that lens.
Not a lot of brands were doing this at that time at all, like casting real people and
No. So we said it's all about real women, because I think women sort of, they've come on their own at that age and that when they're into that kind of a category. So their peers were the women that they would recognize and celebrate. So that's what we did.
It's lovely. Thank you for doing whatever you've been at it.
Thank you so much. So the other ad, I think even when we started with Mia, we've done 2-3 campaigns. Okay, and every time we did a Mia campaign, we've tried experimenting. So we've done a 4th person speak.
Okay.
We've done, a musical, which we did last year, which was again fantastic because we had 7 influencers and each influencer was different. So we had somebody who was part of the queer tribe. We had a fashionista who was a Down syndrome fashionista, and she's going to walk the ramps in November in San Francisco. So we had people like, all of them were part of our creative and narrative, and the 7 influencers came in from 7 different parts of what their world was, and we brought them all together, which was good. But I think my personal favorite now, of course, is the latest campaign, because with every campaign we learn.
Yeah.
So I think in this campaign, the twist in the tail we got where Rakul Preet, while she was there, was not the center. And she was actually helping another woman come to the limelight.
Oh, wow.
I thought was what really worked for me in this campaign. And here too, what I have seen is when I see people seeing the campaign, I look at their expressions and they all have this knowing smile, which tells me that all of us undergo this one moment where we are vulnerable. And you just need that one somebody who will give you back that confidence that you may drop for that few seconds. True. So I think to me, this ad is also extremely insightful. And this is what works. So, last week, it took me 5 hours to traverse 30 kilometers to reach from my office to my home because it was raining out there.
Oh my God.
Yes, so I started at 7:30 in the evening and I reached home at 12:20.
Lovely.
So you might just have an interview standing in the same place.
Might as well do it static. No, but good fun. We've started doing this recently on Mashable Mornings. That we tell them if there is a special discount that the folks watching this episode can get. Is there a special offer?
I think there is.
Yes, so if you figured it out with her behind the camera, then you'll find something in the description.
Yes.
Bye, folks.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Mashable Middle East. And folks in Dubai, there's a bunch of cool things that these guys are doing at Mia by Tanishq. Go ahead and check it out and let us know what you've picked.
Absolutely. Cheers.